Eva arrived in the dying light. The fog clung to the small town like a shroud, obscuring the faces of the few people she passed. Their eyes followed her, cold and curious. She was escaping a past that gnawed at her heels, seeking solace in anonymity. This town, with its oppressive silence, felt strangely welcoming. She had rented the old mansion on the hill sight unseen, a grand Gothic structure that seemed to brood over the town. The rent was unbelievably cheap. The estate agent, a nervous man with watery eyes, had avoided her gaze when she signed the lease. He muttered something about the house needing a bit of life. Eva, desperate for a fresh start, didn't question it. The silence in the town was unnerving. No birdsong, no children playing, just the mournful sigh of the wind through the trees. It was as if the town itself was holding its breath, watching her, waiting. Eva, though, felt strangely at peace. This silence was a balm to her soul, a respite from the noise of her past. She had a feeling that in this forgotten place she might finally be able to breathe again. The mansion loomed before her, a silhouette against the bruised sky. Its windows, dark and empty, stared down at her like the eyes of a predator. Taking a deep breath, Eva pushed open the rusted iron gates and stepped onto the overgrown path. The air grew colder as she approached the house. She could hear the whisper of the wind through the ancient oaks that lined the drive, their branches gnarled like skeletal fingers reaching out to grasp her. Despite the chill, a strange sense of anticipation thrummed through her. The heavy oak door creaked open as if inviting her in. The foyer was vast and dimly lit, dust motes dancing in the pale light filtering through the grimy windows. The air was heavy with the scent of damp and decay, a testament to years of neglect. Yet there was a strange beauty to the decay, a melancholic grandeur that whispered of a time long past. As she moved deeper into the house, her footsteps echoing on the marble floor, Eva couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping not just into a house, but into a story waiting to be told. Days turned into weeks. Eva found solace in restoring the neglected mansion. She scrubbed, dusted and polished, each action chipping away at the oppressive atmosphere. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple and orange, she noticed a flicker of light in the old conservatory. Heart pounding, she cautiously approached. Peering through the dusty glass, she saw him, a man, tall and handsome, with dark, melancholic eyes and a sadness that seemed to seep from his very pores. He was dressed in clothes that seemed out of time, his back to her as he tended to a withered rose bush. Eva watched him for what felt like hours. There was an ethereal quality to him, a stillness that was both captivating and unnerving. It was as if he were a figure trapped within a faded photograph, suspended in time. Suddenly he turned. Their eyes met through the grimy glass. Eva's breath hitched in her throat. His eyes held a depth of sorrow that mirrored her own. In that instant, an invisible thread seemed to weave itself between them, a connection forged in the silence of the dying light. His name was Luca. He never left the grounds of the mansion, appearing to Eva only in glimpses and whispers. Their conversations were filled with a strange, melancholic comfort. He spoke of his love for the house, his voice a low murmur that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. He spoke of the past, of a time when the house overflowed with laughter and life. One rainy afternoon, while exploring the attic, Eva stumbled upon a hidden compartment. Inside, she found a leather-bound diary, its pages brittle with age. The elegant script spoke of a love story, of a man named Luca and his passionate love for a woman named Isabella. But the idyllic tale took a dark turn. Luca, desperate to escape a terminal illness, had made a pact with a malevolent entity. He was granted immortality but tethered to the mansion, forever separated from his beloved Isabella. As Eva read the last desperate words scrawled across the aged parchment, she realized with a chill that the man in the diary was the same man she had seen in the conservatory. Luca, trapped in his gilded cage, forever mourning the loss of his love. Eva felt a surge of sympathy for Luca. She understood his pain, the ache of a heart longing for what it could never have. She too knew the weight of a love lost. But as the days turned into weeks, a seed of fear began to blossom in her heart. Luca was not a man, but a prisoner. His sorrow, though palpable, held an undercurrent of something darker, something possessive. The mansion seemed to react to Luca's sorrow. The shadows deepened, twisting into grotesque shapes that danced at the edge of her vision. The wind howled through the eaves, whispering Luca's name with an almost mournful desperation. Eva began to experience strange occurrences, objects moving, disembodied whispers, a feeling of being constantly watched. One night she saw him again. He stood in the moonlight streaming through her bedroom window, his face etched with a terrible longing. "Help me," he whispered, his voice a mournful sigh. "Free me from this prison." Ava's heart ached for him. She wanted to help, to ease his pain, but the diary's words echoed in her mind, a stark warning. Luca's freedom came at a price. His pact demanded a soul in exchange for his own. She confronted him about the diary, the pact, the terror that was slowly enveloping the mansion. Luca looked away, his shoulders slumping with an ancient grief. "It's true," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm tethered here, bound to this place by my own folly." He turned to her, his eyes pleading. "But you, Eva, you can break the curse. Your love, your life, it can set me free." The mansion became a prison for Eva. The fog outside thickened, becoming an impenetrable barrier. The trees surrounding the house twisted and contorted, their branches scraping against the walls like claws trying to get in. Luca's pleas became more insistent, his sorrow morphing into a quiet desperation that chilled her to the bone. Fear warred with pity in her heart. She cared for Luca, for the man trapped beneath the curse, but the price of his freedom was too high. She refused to sacrifice herself, to become another Isabella, another soul claimed by the mansion's hungry darkness. Eva tried to escape, but the mansion held her captive. Doors slammed shut before she could reach them. Windows refused to open. The house was a labyrinth, its corridors twisting and turning, leading her in endless circles. She was trapped, a bird in a gilded cage. Luca's presence became a constant, his spectral form appearing in doorways, his reflection flickering in mirrors. His pleas became more desperate, his touch more insistent. "Please, Ava," he would whisper, his voice a mixture of longing and menace. "Don't leave me here alone, set me free!" Ava found herself drawn back to the conservatory, the place where she had first seen Luca. He was there, his back to her, tending to the same withered rosebush. But this time there was something different about him. The sadness remained, but it was laced with a growing anger, a resentment that chilled her to the bone. He turned, and the look in his eyes sent a shiver down her spine. It was the look of a predator, starved and desperate. "You won't help me?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "After all I've shown you, all I've offered?" "You offered me a lie," Eva shot back, her voice trembling. "Freedom at the cost of my soul." "I won't be your sacrifice, Luca." He took a step towards her, the air crackling with a malevolent energy. "You have a choice, Ava," he hissed, his voice echoing around her. "My freedom or your death." Eva knew then that there was no escape. The mansion, the curse, Luca's desperation, they were all intertwined, a knot that could only be untied with a life. She closed her eyes, a single tear rolling down her cheek. "Then let my death be a testament to the folly of your bargain," she whispered, her voice filled with a heartbreaking acceptance. Luca lunged, but instead of the cold embrace of death, Eva felt a searing pain in her chest. She opened her eyes to see Luca frozen, his hand plunged into her chest, his eyes wide with disbelief. He stumbled back, his form flickering, his hand now empty. The mansion groaned around them, the walls trembling, the fog outside swirling madly. Luca's screams echoed through the house, filled with rage and despair. He reached for her again, but his hand passed through her, his touch insubstantial. Eva watched as he faded, the last vestiges of his form dissolving into the shadows. With his final breath he whispered her name, the sound a heartbroken lament that echoed through the empty mansion. As darkness closed in, Eva felt a strange sense of peace. Her sacrifice had broken the curse, but not in the way Luca had intended. She had not given him her life, but her love, the purest essence of her being. It was a love that transcended the boundaries of life and death, a love strong enough to shatter even the darkest curse. The fog receded with the dawn, revealing the town bathed in the soft light of a new day. The mansion stood silent, its windows no longer resembling watchful eyes, but merely empty panes reflecting the sky. The curse was broken. The malevolent entity banished, its hold on the mansion finally broken. But the mansion was not empty. Eva's presence lingered, her love woven into the very fabric of the house. She was an echo in the silence, a whisper of wind through the empty corridors, the scent of lavender lingering in the air. Her love, the love that had shattered a curse, remained, a beacon in the darkness. And Luca? He was gone, his soul finally released from his prison of stone and regret. But some whispered that on the quietest nights, when the moon hung heavy in the sky, they could hear him. A mournful sigh on the wind, a whisper of her name echoing through the empty halls, forever bound to the memory of the woman who had loved him enough to let him go.